A man sits alone in his tent. Outside, barbarian tribes prepare for war. Inside, the most powerful man on earth writes in his journal. What he writes will change how humans understand death forever. Tonight, you will discover the 1,900-year-old death meditation of Marcus Aurelius that modern neuroscientists say can reduce depression and anxiety by 70%. This is not just philosophy. This is the secret mental weapon that Silicon Valley executives and Wall Street titans use every single day. Stay with me because what you learn in the next 12 minutes will transform how you see life itself. Every morning, you wake up. You check your phone. Your heart races with anxiety about the day ahead. You feel that familiar weight on your chest. The fear of failure, the fear of not being enough, the fear of time running out. You are not alone. Modern humans live in constant mental torture, disconnected from the one truth that could set them free, the truth about death. While you struggle with these fears, somewhere in a glass tower, a tech billionaire sits quietly for 10 minutes. He closes his eyes. He imagines his own death, not morbidly, not with sadness, with profound peace. When he opens his eyes, he is fearless. He makes decisions worth millions without hesitation. He sleeps peacefully while his competitors burn out from stress. What does he know that you do not? He knows the secret of Memento Mori. Remember, you must die, the most powerful psychological technique ever discovered. And it started with one man in ancient Rome who held the fate of 50 million souls in his hands. Marcus Aurelius, Roman Emperor, Philosopher King, the most powerful human being of the 2nd century. But power did not corrupt him, it refined him. Every night, as Germanic tribes threatened the borders of his empire, as plagues swept through his cities, as betrayal lurked in every shadow, Marcus practiced a ritual that would echo through history. He would sit in silence, he would close his eyes, and he would meditate on his own death. Not because he wanted to die, but because thinking about death taught him how to live. Imagine the scene. The year is 175, the Danube frontier. Marcus sits in his command tent. Outside, his legions prepare for battle against the Marcomanni tribe. Any one of these battles could be his last. Any decision he makes could doom the empire. The weight of civilization rests on his shoulders. How does a man carry such burden without breaking? He writes in his personal journal, never meant for public eyes, "Today I escaped anxiety," or no, I discarded it, because it was within me, in my own perceptions, not outside. This was not positive thinking. This was not denial. This was the result of his death meditation. By accepting the reality of his mortality, Marcus freed himself from the illusions that torture the human mind. But how exactly did this work? And why are neuroscientists today calling it the most powerful therapeutic technique they have ever studied? The answer lies in understanding what death meditation actually does to your brain. But the real secret is about to be revealed, and it will change everything you think you know about fear. Marcus called his death practice the discipline of desire, but we misunderstand what this means. He was not trying to desire death, he was learning to desire nothing that he could not control. And the one thing no human can control is how long they will live. Every morning, Marcus would remind himself, this could be my last day, not to frighten himself, but to liberate himself. When you truly accept that you will die, something magical happens in your mind. The petty concerns that normally consume you simply dissolve. That argument with your colleague? Meaningless if you die tomorrow. That embarrassing moment from last week that keeps replaying in your mind. Irrelevant in the face of mortality. That fear of what others think about you. Absurd when you realize that everyone judging you will also be dead in less than a century. But Marcus went deeper than this. He did not just think about his own death. He meditated on the death of everything he loved. His children, his empire, the very earth itself. This sounds cruel, but it was actually the most loving practice possible. When you accept that everything you love is temporary, you stop taking it for granted. You pay attention. You become present. You love more deeply because you know love itself is precious precisely because it cannot last forever. Marcus wrote, "Loss is nothing else but change, and change is nature's delight." But here is where it gets interesting. Marcus was not just practicing philosophy, He was accidentally rewiring his brain in ways that modern science is only beginning to understand. When you meditate on death regularly, specific neural pathways in your brain begin to change. The amygdala, your brain's fear center, becomes less reactive. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for rational thinking, becomes stronger. Most importantly, the default mode network, the part of your brain responsible for rumination and anxiety, begins to quiet down. Doctors at Harvard Medical School recently published a study. They took two groups of people suffering from severe anxiety and depression. One group received traditional therapy. The other group practiced daily death meditation for 8 weeks. The results shocked the medical community. The death meditation group showed a 70% reduction in anxiety symptoms. Their brain scans revealed increased gray matter in regions associated with emotional regulation. Their cortisol levels, the stress hormone, dropped to levels seen only in experienced monks. But why does thinking about death make you mentally stronger? And this is exactly where modern science enters the realm of ancient wisdom, with discoveries that will blow your mind. The answer lies in what psychologists call terror management theory. Human beings are the only animals that know they will die. This knowledge creates what scientists call existential anxiety, a constant low-level fear that drives most of human behavior. We buy things we do not need to feel important. We seek fame to feel immortal. We avoid taking risks because we fear death. We become paralyzed by the very thing we refuse to think about. But when you meditate on death directly, something counterintuitive happens. Instead of becoming more afraid, you become less afraid. Your brain stops running from the one certainty in life and starts accepting it. This acceptance creates what neuroscientists call post-traumatic growth. Your brain literally rewires itself to handle uncertainty. You become comfortable with discomfort. You develop what researchers call psychological anti-fragility. You do not just survive stress, you become stronger because of it. This is why Silicon Valley executives practice death meditation. This is why Navy SEALs are trained to visualize their own death. This is why the most successful people in history, from Steve Jobs to Warren Buffett, regularly contemplate mortality. They understand what Marcus Aurelius discovered 2,000 years ago. Death is not the enemy of life. Fear of death is the enemy of life. Steve Jobs, in his famous Stanford commencement speech, said, "Remembering that you are going to die is the best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose. You are already naked. There is no reason not to follow your heart." Jobs practiced a form of death meditation throughout his life. Every morning, he would look in the mirror and ask himself, "If today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I am about to do today?" If the answer was no for too many days in a row, he knew he needed to change something. This was not morbid thinking. This was practical wisdom. By accepting the reality of death, Jobs freed himself to take the risks that created Apple, Pixar, and the iPhone. Without death meditation, the device you might be watching this video on would never have existed. But the practice goes deeper than just making better decisions. Death meditation literally changes your perception of time itself. When you truly accept that your time is limited, every moment becomes precious. You stop scrolling mindlessly through social media. You stop watching television shows you do not enjoy. You stop spending time with people who drain your energy. You become what psychologists call time affluent. You feel like you have enough time because you are no longer wasting time on things that do not matter. Marcus wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." Death meditation cures this paradox. When you realize that everyone whose opinion you worry about will be dead in a few decades, you stop performing for their approval. You start living for your own values. But perhaps the most powerful effect of death meditation is how it changes your relationship with suffering. Right now, when something painful happens in your life, your mind rejects it. You think, "This should not be happening. This is not fair. Why me?" This resistance to pain creates suffering on top of pain. You suffer because you are suffering. But when you regularly meditate on death, you develop what Buddhists call equanimity. You accept that pain is part of life. You stop fighting reality. You experience pain without adding the extra layer of mental suffering. Marcus faced unimaginable challenges. His children died. His beloved wife betrayed him. His empire was constantly at war. Yet he wrote, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate associates you." This was not passive resignation, this was active acceptance. By acknowledging that everything in life is temporary, including pain, Marcus found peace in the midst of chaos. Now, how do you practice this ancient technique in your modern life? The method is simpler than you think, but more powerful than you can imagine. Every morning, spend 5 minutes in silence. Close your eyes. Imagine this day is your last day on earth. Feel the reality of this possibility. You are not trying to make yourself sad. You are trying to make yourself present. Ask yourself, if I knew I would die tonight, how would I spend today? Who would I call? What would I say? What would I stop worrying about? What would become important? Then carry that awareness with you throughout the day. When you feel anxiety rising, remind yourself, this anxiety assumes I will live forever, but I will not. So why am I wasting this precious moment on worry? When someone annoys you, remember, both of us will be dead in 100 years. Is this worth my limited time and energy? When you face a difficult decision, ask, what would I choose if I had 6 months to live? Often the answer becomes immediately clear. Marcus Aurelius died on March 17th, 180. His last words were, "Go to the rising sun, for I am already setting." He faced death without fear because he had been preparing for it his entire life. But his death meditation did not make him nihilistic. It made him more alive, more present, more loving, more courageous. It can do the same for you. The ancient Romans had a tradition. After every military victory, as the conquering general paraded through Rome in triumph, a slave would stand behind him and whisper in his ear, "Memento Mori," remember you must die. This was not meant to diminish the celebration. It was meant to keep the general humble, to remind him that his power was temporary, to help him appreciate the moment instead of being consumed by ego. You do not need a slave whispering in your ear. You can whisper to yourself every morning, every night. Whenever you feel overwhelmed by the drama of daily life, remember you must die, not to make yourself afraid, but to make yourself free. Free from the opinions of others, free from the fear of failure, free from the illusion that you have unlimited time to waste. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, but his greatest conquest was his own mind. Through death meditation, he achieved something more valuable than all the gold in Roman treasury. He achieved peace. In a world of constant change, uncertainty, and loss, he found the one thing that circumstances cannot touch: inner tranquility. 2,000 years later, his words still guide millions of people. His meditations, written never for publication but for his own growth, remain one of the most influential books ever written. Why? Because he understood the secret that most humans spend their entire lives avoiding. You are going to die. Embrace this truth. Let it teach you how to live.